While filming yesterday's episode of The Salt Mine, I was actually able to sit down with both HollywoodPizza and PowrDragn to have a little bit more of an in-depth conversation, so it was a little bit less meme-tastic and a lot more on the subject. So these conversations end up being a lot longer than what I would like to actually put in a digestible short form content thing like the Salt Mine. So we decided to just kind of put a couple memes in there for yesterday's video, but I didn't want the whole conversation go to waste because I think it was a really fun and interesting and just overall good conversations to have. So these two conversations, again, it's going to be with PowrDragn and HollywoodPizza. So I really hope you enjoy this. I don't know if we're going to be doing things like this in the future going forward. If I end up having a good conversation with somebody, whether it's just a random conversation or if it's specifically for another episode of the Salt Mine. We may be doing videos like this going forward. I'm not exactly sure, but if you want to see something like this with other creators, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd be really interested, because if this is a new series that you all want to see, I'd be really interested to do them too. So stay salty and hit that subscribe button. All right, so hello HollywoodPizza, how are you? How was your brawl tournament? Just ended, like right now.
That is actually true. Just about 15 minutes, 20 minutes ago, our regular monthly historic brawl tournament actually just ended.
Monthly. Yeah, go check that out. Make sure to check out his Twitch page at HollywoodPizza. And yeah, so we got some new bans. Now, were these bans taken in effect for your brawl tournament?
Yes, actually, these bans they took place at the beginning of the week.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, pretty much when Alchemy came out, but these were legal today for the event. Arena actually wasn't really letting you like add some of those cards if you specifically had it under historic brawl.
Right. That's right.
Because it's just outright banned on the client with the update.
Yeah, because there was no option for friendly brawl or something like that, so you couldn't just add any card, whatever it was.
So
there was no friendly historic brawl. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, the problem today is that the rebalance cards don't. You cannot do a direct challenge or a friends list challenge with the rebalance cards. The game just isn't letting you do it. It says like your deck's invalid. So you therefore would have to use the unrebalanced card. So therefore, for today's event, we actually ended up banning all of the rebalanced cards just to keep everything fair, just in case, that some of those cards were pretty broken. So we wanted to make sure we took care of that as well. Yeah. Also, we wanted to avoid any kind of confusion because, when you try to submit your deck with the rebalance card, it's not gonna work the way you want it to, or it's also not even just gonna let you do it, not select your deck.
So do they know that that's a bug, and did they acknowledge it, and are they fixing it?
I don't believe that they know it yet. I am not certain if anyone has tagged them on Twitter.
Did you not report it?
I have not taken it upon myself to tag WotC on Twitter yet, just because I literally found out about it like yesterday.
Oh,
it was a pretty quick hey, by the way, I was streaming and someone was like, hey, by the way, challenges don't work with the alchemy cards. And I was like, what do you mean? So we tried it with just the regular alchemy. Regular alchemy works, but then as soon as you try like the rebalance cards, that's where the problem is.
Poor Cosmos Elixir. Come on, that's like the best rebalance card.
It is. Or I don't know, man. Druid class OP. Let's go.
Oh, that's true. Druid class is really good.
Druid class is a sleeper hit.
Yeah. In Brawl, I can see that.
Yeah. Those
Wait, drops. so how'd the tournament go? Was it good? Is it going to be, do you think it's going to be better next month if they fix it?
The tournament went really, really great. Always a lot of fun. We were actually getting more and more signups and just more and more people playing every week. I think last month or the month before, we actually had to adjust Brawl for a top 8. So now our tournaments have a top 8 for Brawl, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a good amount of variety. There was also a good amount of Canon. Canon is actually one of the more on Untapped has one of the higher percentages of win rates. Is going to be Canon, and same with like Winota, those decks.
Wait, didn't Winota get banned?
Winota is actually unbanned.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it was. Was that
Winota
a
is actually
recent thing?
unbanned.
I feel like it
Yes,
was
it
recent.
was.
Okay.
Yes, Winota got unbanned with Golos, believe it or not. The two of the crazier cards
Pretty
that you could probably
powerful.
play.
I don't
I
like
think Golos is
Golos.
just okay. I actually think Golos is okay. I actually don't know if Golos is really like that. I don't think Golos is that crazy, in all honesty. I really don't.
I
I
feel like
feel
he just
like
replaces himself, even if you just kill it right away, right when it enters the battlefield.
so the
Place itself
craziest
with
thing
the
about
land, and then
Golos.
you top deck a land, and then you just play Golos again.
Yeah, the thing about Golos is actually a card that we're going to talk about is the Field of the Dead. The main reason that
Yeah, that's
Golos was
true.
really good was only like Field of the Dead carried Golos because realistically speaking, your best 5-color commander is probably Niv Mizzet and then Asika second.
Wait, you
Niv
think Nim
Reborn is
Mizzet's
just super strong.
better
Niv
than
has taken down an
Eska?
event. Yeah, Niv Mizzet has taken down one of our events
Hmm.
before. I think Asika is really good as well. The main reason
Yeah,
Asika is better, so Niv is better because you get access to just the best cards, right? Like you don't have to worry about
true.
specifically playing like a planeswalker like this or anything like that. You're just gonna play
There's
the
no
best gold cards
restrictions.
plus some of
Yeah,
the
just gold
right.
cards.
Asika restricts your deck building to a certain degree, but with Asika, you're gonna hit the cards that you want compared to Golos. But Golos,
Yeah,
you're
that's
past
true.
7 mana and you're spinning the wheel, so you're not necessarily you can't really play counter spells in your Golos deck because
True.
it's going to be kind of harder to do, right? So your Golos deck is more like a mid-range deck, and then you're just going to get beat by the control decks or out mid-range by like the Asika deck that's going to hit their coma or the card that got banned, Ugen. Not anymore, but you would just make your deck built so that you could just hit like Ugen, coma, and then like one other card. So every game was just
Yeah.
the same, right? You just play your commander from the command zone, play it as the bridge, and then the next turn you're already getting your Ugens going and stuff. So
Yeah, because
I
I
think
know
both
when
of
I was
those are more
playing,
egregious than Golos.
you were essentially able to fill Field of the Dead into almost any deck, even monocolored decks. You could put a lot of different variety of like either manlands or colorless lands, and you were just able to throw in Field of the Dead if you wanted to. So I
Yes.
felt like whenever I played Brawl, I was just like, it's a mistake not to run Field of the Dead because there's so many utility lands that you can run. You can only run one of each, but that is exactly what you want with Field of the Dead. So I understand because it's one of those cards to where you could just put it in any deck or virtually any deck.
Yeah, so specifically Field of the Dead got banned. Field of the Dead
Yeah.
is to me personally, Field of the Dead is very double-edged. Um
I never
a lot of
thought
the
it was
control
that
decks.
good, honestly.
It's
There's
I read the card and I was like, yeah, that card seems good, escape shift, sure. That was probably like as far as I went in my head, right? I was just like, yeah, combo, you get some zombies, and yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
It was never like, oh my god, you just play this and then that's the end of the game, right? You don't have to play anything. You're just like, all right, I just
I just play
make
lands.
creatures now. Yeah, I just play
Yeah.
lands and win the game.
Yeah.
The thing about Field of the Dead is that it was still for me. The banning happens because Field of the Dead is too good against some of the fair decks, right? Because any deck could play it. Just like you said, any decks can play it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The only thing about Field of the Dead was that it at least it still gave control an option, but it also gave away 2 fight control at the same time. Whereas if you got your Field of the Dead down and controls, countering all your cards and stuff, like you still have threats.
Yeah, exactly.
Their 1 or 2 win con deck needs to answer. Their blocker or whatever, right? Like they need to be able to deal with your constant stream of actual threats. So
Yeah.
even though Field gets banned and it's probably good for more of the fair decks, what I was mostly thinking about the Field ban is that it's with lands specifically. You know this as someone who plays land destruction. Land destruction is actually not played that much, and the land destruction that would be available isn't good against all the meta. So you're almost forced to play Field of Ruin,
Yeah,
Ghost
Field of Ruin
Quarters,
is
things like that.
amazing. Yeah, Field of Ruin and
But
Ghost Quarter. Why wouldn't you just put that in
it's
your draw
harder.
decks anyway?
It's harder in a 3-color deck though. If
It
you're trying to
fixes your
cast your
mana.
commanders and stuff on time, yeah, but if you're wasting a turn to Field of the Dead or Field of Ruin, then your opponent could do something more broken, right? They can get their commander down. So then
Yeah,
now
they
you're
could.
behind. Like you
Yeah,
need to
it's
stay on pace
possible.
with what your opponent is doing. Think about it like this: Canon couldn't really play Field of Ruin because you're trying to play your Canon on 2. So the only way you're really
Yeah.
playing your Canon on 2 if you draw Field of Ruin is if you hit like a Gilded Goose.
Yeah.
And that's like really bad. Like then to use the food to play your Canon, and then now it's like, oh no, like now we don't have mana from the goose to play our other mana rampers, and so that's just
Yeah.
like an example of one of the more popular decks. Like those decks don't normally play that card because
They
it's
play
just
no
like
colorless lands and no tap lands.
they should be able. Let's take a look at the list. Let's actually take a look at our list from today, our
Yeah,
winning
I have
list.
no idea.
So
Yeah,
let me
like that.
take a look here myself. So we have. Okay, so actually today is a bad just because it was banned. So they actually would not have that deck list. So let me actually
Oh,
go
Field
to
of the Dead
our
was banned?
previous draw.
Today?
Yeah, for today,
Yeah,
Field
yeah.
of the Dead is banned, so no, we wouldn't be able to see it. Let's
Yeah.
go to
I would
our
still use
previous
Field of Ruin. There's so
draw.
many Manlands. There's
Yeah, the
I
Canon
would
deck did have Field of Ruin in it.
100%. You could have like a man. There's 2 Manlands in every color, and then that's if you exclude the colorless Manlands or any of
So
the
the
other
Canon deck did
utility
have it.
lands. See?
The winning deck from today did have the Field of Ruin. So they
Boom.
were at least so. But not
Boom.
everyone is gonna do that though either. So there's a
Only the
combination of
smart
things
people.
where
5 head.
yeah, I mean, let's be honest. You're only the people who are gonna get. I mean, this person won the event,
Yeah.
so you know they clearly built their deck correctly.
Hey,
But
I'm afraid of an 8/8 with Ward whatever. Forget that. I would prefer
the
never to
Kraken,
play
man.
against that. Yeah.
Kiora
Like,
the
you know
Sea
what I
God is
mean?
brutal. It just takes. Speaking of another card that's banned, we're talking about Kiora. Was it Kiora Best the Sea God?
Yeah, yeah.
Agent of Treachery was banned as well, and Agent of Treachery is a very mean card in Commander. In Brawl, excuse me, mostly because if you flip it off of Canon, essentially Agent of Treachery means
That's
that your
true.
opponent will never play their commander again because you just take it and
Yeah.
then it just sits there, and now your opponent doesn't have any strategies at all. A good comparison to Agent of Treachery as to why it is actually banned
That sucks. Wait, so
is
why
Pithing
don't
Needle.
people just? Oh, wait,
What's up?
it can't be that bad. As Pithing
It's
Needle and
so I was gonna
and
say it's like Pithing Needle and Ruined Halo, Gideon's Intervention. So essentially what ends up happening is that you just lock your opponent out of their strategy from being able to do it, and then that's it.
yeah.
So the main reason Agent is banned is because of that reason, because essentially once you take their commander, they can't do anything anymore. And unless it's like, like Teferi. Right? Because you don't really care. You're like, just kill it or, take it or
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I counter it. It doesn't matter. Like the thing is that it's another card that stops commanders from being able to do their thing, and I think that that's the main reason that Agent gets banned.
Aren't there a lot of cards that steal stuff though?
So there's not that many. Lay Claim is another card that was in the top 8 today. There was a moment where the opponent laid claim to their opponent's Kinnan, essentially putting their own Kinnan into the command zone so that then their
Yeah.
opponent couldn't play theirs. So then
Yeah.
now the Kinnan player is locked out. They don't really play too much removal. So therefore now, you see what I mean? Like the game's kind of like in an awkward state.
No, there's the blue one. What's the blue one? Where it's like triple
Mass
blue
manipulation?
or yes, mass manip.
So that gets played. People
Yeah.
definitely gets played in the tournament. We see that all the time on stream. A mass manipulation happens. Oh, nice
okay.
coma. Take it.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, how is blue gonna deal with this?
You're like,
oh,
"Ooh."
they just take it. Great. Never mind.
Now
they
it's
just win.
mine.
Now it's mine. But yeah, I think that that's why. So Field of Ruin or Field of the Dead, excuse me, banned because essentially it's going to take out some of the mid-range decks out of the format. It's also kind of like a harder card for most people to deal with in general. So I think just getting it out. You also, so if you think about it, Field of the Dead gets banned because Golo gets unbanned as well.
Yeah.
So you'd have to think that there's statistics somewhere from WotC that says, okay, Golos got him banned, and now Field of the Dead decks are starting to take over as well. So now, just to have Golos legal, we kind of, because Field of the Dead is the more problematic card. That's just how it is.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So you can keep Golos unbanned because Golos is fun, right? Like, you 7 mana, I got my Ulamog and this other thing. That was awesome, right? RNG, let's go. It's
I
just super big
disagree.
damage.
I hate that. I hate that.
No, I hate
like,
that
no,
too.
you get a Ugen
But-
and a Olamog off this? I hate you. I hate you so much.
But essentially, that's why, you can't really have. I don't think you can have both. And I think that Field
Yeah.
of the Dead goes in every single deck. So
Yeah,
I think the card
exactly.
that goes in every single deck should be banned. And Agent
Needs to be.
is because of it pretty much stopping commanders from doing their thing once you take your opponent's commander. In all reality, it's kind of hard for them to win because their whole deck is built around that one card, realistically, right?
Yeah,
So their
but
best card is just gone now.
yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just there seems to be other cards that do the same exact thing that Agent does.
You can deal with them though. Technically speaking, you can destroy a late claim, right? It's an enchantment.
Yeah, but you
Mind
can
control. The meanest card would be Kiora Best the Sea God.
and mass
And then once again, the
manipulation.
argument would be is that it's an enchantment. So maybe you could blow it up before it gets to the second ability, or maybe you don't have your best thing out. You play around it. It's kind of a tough
mass
call, I think.
manipulation is cheaper than Agent of Treachery. To take one thing.
For
anyway.
one thing, yeah. It's one less mana for one thing.
Yeah.
I would say I don't disagree with you because there's more cards that do it. I would say that those cards are harder to get to than Agent.
That's true.
With
'Cause there's a
Agent,
lot of
you
ways
can
to
it
get
with
Agent
Golos,
into the
Canon.
battlefield.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
like
Really, I mean, if
cheated
you make
in
a
and
Jeskai
stuff.
deck, just Winota it out, right? Just your
Yeah.
Jeskai Winota deck. If you
Yeah.
have like a Narset as like your command, Narset deck was undefeated near the end of it. They unfortunately lost in the top 8, but they were doing great. So the last card on the ban list is going to be Ugen, the Spirit Dragon. So this card, okay, this is the only one that I think I'm kind of iffy about. I'm not gonna lie. The main reason that I'm kind of iffy about it is because I think Ugen being banned is a byproduct of some of these other cards as well. If that makes
Was he a
sense.
commander or was he normally just like index?
Index.
Okay.
So
yeah, that seems odd to me.
I think that Ugen being banned is a byproduct of Bridge existing. Because you just build your deck to play it almost every time.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that Ugen is that crazy, like an over the top card. It costs 8 mana, right? I mean, even if you get to 8 mana in Brawl, I mean, whatever, you probably deserve to play your 8 mana spell and have a good game. But I think to me, it falls into the same. It's almost like all these cards are together, right? Like you would play all these cards in the same deck: Golos, Field of the Dead, Ugen.
Agent of
play all of
Treachery. Yeah.
Yeah, Agent of Treachery. Like you play
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
So I think by by banning most of them, you kind of make it a little bit more diverse. You really are diversifying the format because now not everyone's going to gravitate towards the best card in the format almost, right? Like Ugen's one of the best cards you can play because it answers everything. Exiles a coma, it pretty much kills everything, right?
Yeah.
It swings the game right back into Control's favor, or it ends the game against Control if you get to resolve it.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's not.
Imagine resolving
It's not
Ugen
that
against
crazy.
Control.
Yeah, if you're resolving Ugen against Control, you're pretty lucky. Like you made it. You made it, my friend. You made it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the main reason for getting banned, in my opinion, isn't necessarily like the power of the card. Outside of obviously it's a bomb mythic. I mean, I played with it when it originally came out, but to me, it's more the fact that some of these other cards exist that you can cheat this card out.
Yeah.
So because of that, I would say that this essentially, I think that a lot of people don't like Asika, and I think a lot of people call out for Asika's ban.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna say that I feel like Asika's kind of a little bit more unpopular in terms of like the 5 colors, and I feel
Yeah,
like
I
this
agree.
is kind of like a hit against Asika, where now they don't have their best thing, so now their next best thing is gonna be Coma.
Which is
And
still
you
a
can
great
either
card.
yeah, I mean it's still a bomb card. You can
Yeah.
exile it, you can bounce it, you can kill it before they get the token. There's options, so I mean it's not It's not like Ugen where it's a planeswalker and the only way of dealing with the planeswalker primarily is attacking it. So and this card kills everything that would attack it.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's just a
true.
little bit too powerful, I think, in terms of like what it does. It, to me, it was probably too much. On top of what I said earlier, it's probably too much of a swinging card as to
Yeah,
why it gets banned.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I hate
Or
Ugin,
like,
so I
oh, I
agree.
got all my commanders. Once again, we talk about you not being able to play your commander. Oh, I just got my commander out, and then now my opponent wipes the
Oog.
whole board. Oops. And then
Bathe in ghost fire.
Ghost fire.
It's like, David Ugen, I hate you. Go away. Oh,
Oh, it's
Bolus
the
pokes
worst.
your eyes out.
Ugen is so mean. It is a pretty it's pretty backbreaking. Like let's be honest here. There's not many cards where like when your opponent plays it, you're just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Just that one card.
It's like that and
Like,
turn one
oh
Thoughtseize.
god.
You're like, ugh.
Turn one Thoughtseize on the mulligan.
I hate it. Oh my
The,
god, that's
the,
even
the worst
worse.
feeling. You mulligan, you're like, all right, let's hope they're not playing Jund.
I
Edge,
know.
shock. Thoughtseize. It's like, oh, I hate you so much. And historic,
Why
it's
every
like
time?
shock.
Every time.
Or the
Every
Thoughtseize.
it's
like, dude.
it's always a blood crypt into a
Yep.
Thoughtseize. Like, why? Why do you have this?
And
Why?
then Arcanist. Then they
Every
play
time.
Arcanist. And then they attack with the Arcanist. And then they Thoughtseize you again. And then you're sitting there
Yeah.
like, I
And
thought
they
I was
play
going to play these
Inquisition of
magic cards.
Kozilek, or they play
And then you never get
Kroza.
to your Ugen. Because
And then
Ugen
you're
costs
like,
8 mana, right? Unless you
oh.
top deck it later.
Yeah, you never get
But
it.
I think that that's the main reason for this banning at the end of the day is that there's other cards that cheat it out and there's ways to abuse it. So I think there's just to me,
Yeah.
I don't know if it needed the ban. There might be some other cards in the format that might need a ban, but I
Like
think that
what?
Ujin is
Spill the
probably
tea.
safe.
What else?
But I think
What else should get
that
banned?
it probably shouldn't. I mean, there's probably let's take a look at Untapped. Let me take a look at Untapped real quick.
You're like, ban everything, Kinnan.
I mean, everybody wants Canon banned because it's like it's probably like the highest percentage of A with it. Let's see, is this my debit card?
Meta historic brawl.
Oh, whoops, I forgot to do this.
Yeah,
I
Kennan's
haven't.
at
I'm actually.
60%. Helena and Elena partners at 59. Winoda's at 53. Yeah, so it looks like it's Kenan and
hold on, yeah, I'm trying
Helena.
to get to it. Helena, what the hell?
Yeah, that's what I said.
What the hell? Is there a way to change the day?
No,
Do this whole week. Do this top right.
it wasn't letting
It
me.
says November 11th. It says November 11th to now. It doesn't let you. Lame.
No, it's locked. Do you see how it's locked?
Oh, you're
This
right.
is the
What
maximum available time range is selected by the default on this page.
Oh, they don't care. Nobody cares about Brawl.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's just talk about this. Why is Helena? How is Helena like the best? That's
I
kind of hilarious,
I
actually.
have no idea.
Canon
But
is at the top, though. All right, yeah, let's
as
just talk
far as
about
that's
this, though.
popularity though.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
but also
the-
win rate. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's also win rate, yeah. So
But
the
Helena-
daily metagame. So some people want like Canon banned, Winota rebanned. You know what's really crazy is those are the only two cards. All the other cards that we see here. So we have Canon at 60%. Elena.
Now did Winota get bad again because of Agent of Treachery? Because that's why it was banned in Standard initially, or in Historic. It was banned in Historic because of that.
Right, because of the Agent of Treachery.
Yeah.
You can't play Agent of Treachery with it. So that's the only reason why they wouldn't
Oh,
be connected
that's
this
true.
time.
As the commander, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah, I was saying you want the Narset maybe or some either whatever other Jeskai commander there might be.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do that.
Because
Never
you
mind.
can't play them together. So
Mhm.
unfortunately that wasn't like it was just
Luckily.
Yeah. Pretty sure Agent would have gotten banned a lot
Yeah.
sooner if you could play them together again.
Yeah.
You know what's really crazy is Fires is a legal card. It doesn't really get played that much. Counter spells are too good. I'm telling you. Counter spells are too good. But we're looking here. So we have Helena at second with 59.5%. Strider, would you have guessed In all
No,
honesty,
I've
I know you don't
never
know much
seen
about
that card.
Brawl, but would you have
I've
guessed
never
that
seen that
card?
card. Nope, I've never seen it. Never seen it until I saw that and I was like, okay, what is this card?
So it literally just came out with I don't want to be wrong about this one. When did Helena
Val.
come out?
Yeah, it just came
Yeah,
out
was it
Val.
Val?
Yeah.
Yeah, Crimson Val. So it just came out, so it's pretty fresh. So what's really crazy is that
First strike
it
and
has
reach. I mean, that's no joke.
I mean, it's the fact that you can pump up your other cards. So the thing with that card is I think it snowballs really quickly. So
Yeah.
you can play it in like your aggressive deck, and then it's like a Winota type card, right? It's your big 4-drop that you play it, and then now your cards get counters. And if you're already playing like a counter synergy, and you're playing like the
Yeah.
ooze, whatever the 3-mana 2/2 ooze is, right? Like you go like 1-drop creature with the counter, 2-drop creature, 3-drop ooze, put a counter on this other creature, then Helena, and then attack. I mean, that's a
The
lot of jank all of a sudden not being so janky. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, the deck doesn't the one that I'm looking at doesn't really seem to have any
any
like
counter
plus
synergy,
one
so it's more.
counters. Yeah, I mean it has Krenko and Legion Warboss for like the mentor. But outside of that, it'll have like
Ooh.
temporary pumps and stuff. But that's
Mhm.
about it.
Which makes sense because if you think about it, like you just pump up your Helena to 5, and then pump up your other card to 5, and then now you can attack. You just have like 2 really
Yeah,
big threats, right?
that's it. I do like
And
I think someone brought it up before, but the Helena and Incubation Druid combo. Because it'll put plus one counters on
Oh,
Incubation Druid.
yep.
And then Incubation Druid can tap for
That's a
3
spicy
mana.
meatball.
Or 2 mana. Is it 2 mana? I don't
3
remember.
mana turns it
It's
into
3 mana? Yeah,
Lotus or whatever.
that's ridiculous.
So
Ridiculous.
the other commanders that we have here as well, we have Yarok, the Desecrated, and we have Sithis. Uldrotha in 6th, the first Sliver in 7th, and Golus in 8th. I mean,
Sithis is
know,
OP. OP.
I feel like the format has a lot going on, right? Like, I feel like there's still like a lot going on.
Yeah,
And
it's
if we look
very
at
diverse.
the popularity of each deck is actually really close. Canon and Winota actually have the same percentage, 3% of quote unquote the meta. But then there's 2.2, 2.2, 2.0, 2.0, 1.8. So everyone else is actually pretty close, I think, to those other 2 decks. I feel like
It's funny that
there
Golos
could
is
be
so
some cards
popular
printed.
right now and it's so shitty.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Golos at 41.8% win rate. I'm telling you, Golos isn't like.
Yeah, and it's
I never thought Golos was
2.2%
that.
of the meta. That's
In
awesome
Brawl,
because
Golos isn't that powerful.
yeah, it's a bunch of stupid people thinking Golos is good and it just fails.
Yeah, pretty
Continue to
much.
think it's good so we can farm
It's-
wins.
Yeah, keep giving the Canon their 60% win rate with your Golos deck.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta play something. I mean, I think what's really crazy to me, Strider, is that in our tournaments we have a lot of control show up, like a lot of control. Some tournaments it feels like it's like all control. What I find really interesting is that none of these decks look like control decks, right? Like none of them. They all want permanence in play, pretty much. Golos would be the
Yeah, they're
closest thing that you could say to a control
very,
deck, but
very heavy on the
permanence.
creature
I
side.
have to
Yeah,
get my permanence down. I have
like,
to get.
holy
I have
shit.
to spin the wheel on this, or I have to replay the card out of my best card out of the graveyard because I milled it into the graveyard. Like
Yeah,
there's
it all just seems
essentially
like
all the decks are doing the
greed
same, except for
piles.
Helena.
It's just rampant to greed. That's all I've seen when I play Brawl.
That's why I think getting rid of Ugen is really good. In all reality,
That's
getting rid of
true.
those cards just diversifies people's decks. Now, not every deck's gonna play Field. Now, not every deck's gonna play Ugen. Now, you don't even have to really play Field of Ruin, right? You don't even almost have to put in these colorless lands in your deck because the best land is gone. I
You
mean,
need Blast Zone. Blast Zone is amazing.
I know you
Blast
like.
Zone is
Oh,
like
Blast,
the
hey,
Blast Zone is
Blast Zone, though.
amazing.
Hey, Blast Zone though. I've definitely destroyed a lot of things with the Blast
Yeah.
Zone. Definitely killed quite a lot of Dragon's Rage channelers
Yes.
and
yes.
Ragavans.
Yeah,
with
Blast
my,
Zone is
Blast Zone.
delicious. Is delicious.
Yes, I can agree to that.
Cool. Well, yeah,
All right.
I think that's it. Unless you had anything
All right.
else. Anything else going?
I guess I could just do a plug for myself for like 2 seconds
Yeah,
or something.
go for
I don't
it.
even know if that's a thing.
Yeah, we'll just cut it out midway. It'll be funny.
Hey guys, don't forget, I host 3 tournaments a month, all free to play with cash prizes. Don't forget to check me out, twitch.tv, HollywoodPizza.
All right. Cool. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
the talk,
Stratus
man.
Stone.
For
Thank you,
sure.
Stratus Stone, for having me on. Appreciate it.
Always, always.
Have a great rest of YouTube.
All right. Later.
If I do say something, I try to do it in at least like a constructive way, and at least say like, hey, but here's some solutions, or here's some things we can talk about, other than just like, I hate this thing, or this is a problem. And it's like, okay, cool, we get it. Other people feel
Yeah.
the same way. But like, I also don't want to be like the 5th or 6th, or hell, in some cases, the 50th person, posting the same thing. Because after a while, it's like, okay, everybody gets it. It's in everyone's feed.
Yeah,
This
that's
particular
true.
stuff I think was a little bit different, but I just didn't want to like, I don't really have anything like super constructive to necessarily go with this, so I'll just sit on it.
Hmm. Okay. And is that something you're still pondering as far as how you want to express it?
No, I think I can. I mean, it's fine. I mean, especially for something like this, I think this is more of a like targeted setting, so it's kind of okay
Yeah.
to have those conversations. And I actually opened it up on my Discord so my regulars, could have that part of the conversation too. So I'm not like against talking about it, but it was mostly kind of looking over things from the last I'd say probably like year and a half. And one of the things we talked about on my podcast was
What was
how
the name of your
as a
podcast again?
color of magic, actually. And we
Every-
talk a lot
Everyone
about
go follow that.
we talk like about topics that affect people, as we say, like at and away from their game tables and computers. Not necessarily just game specific topics, but like, hey, let's talk about socially, culturally, things around different topics sometimes that come up. And we talked about the fact that with all of the like cultural awareness and sensitivities wherever they came up over the last year and a half, partly because of, the
Yeah.
police brutality and everything else, there was a like surge of people saying, hey, well, let me follow more Black content creators in my space, and let me be more aware of more people in my community. And we saw a huge spike in listeners, and downloads, even on our individual content in other spaces.
That's
But
awesome.
we also talked about we expect it's going to decline fairly quickly, and people took that to be very negative, but it's like, well, no, it's just reality. Like, while it's, the top of mind, it's an active thing people are doing. But once it's not, they're no longer going to do that. And that kind of over time started carrying over to my personal content as well, where I saw huge spikes in content where I was doing, I would say I went from doing like 2K views pretty regularly to about somewhere between 3 and 4K for a lot of my videos during that time. But then things trailed off as expected, not a real big surprise.
Yeah.
But then now it's to the point that I have some stuff that's like struggling to get to 1,000 views, in the first
Oh
week's
wow.
worth of time. So it's kind of like, okay, well, what's this related to? And then
Yeah.
so I took the time to start like, let me reach out to other content creators and see if maybe they're promoting their stuff differently than I am. And then it turns out I'm doing a lot of the same things they're doing and then some, compared to a lot of them. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not that. And it's not consistency of content because I've literally done, I think when I went and did the math, I've done 1.4 videos per day average since February 2020. So it's not consistency or content or even variety of content on the channel because I've done my daily gameplay videos. I've also done stuff like, hey, here's a budget upgrade for each of the 10 free decks you get in Arena, a bunch of that type of stuff. So trying to just do good community pieces along with
Yeah.
like the competitive gameplay stuff.
Yeah, that's stuff people actually care about.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not that. And I said, well, okay, well, let's look at other factors. So I started looking at other channels that are getting a lot, which by the way, there are channels that are a third to half my size that are doing 3x, some of them 7x my views on some days. And it's like,
I
okay,
feel
well,
like we have the same opinion about things right now.
so
But we're
it's
gonna have the
kind of
different
like,
conclusion.
yeah, so it's sort of like what's going on, right? Like what's the issue here?
Yeah.
And so I've started just exploring all types of levels of stuff. And some of this I do understand is part of the just nature of viewership, right? During the pandemic, like even YouTube saw like a record number of views record number of hours watched. Like people's behavior has changed in that time.
Yeah.
Like not totally surprised by that. But it's just when I see what remains and go, okay, well still why is mine so different? Right? Like that's the hard part. And then I started looking into other black content creators' content and saying, okay, well there's and I'm not going to call out any other names, so I'm not drawing hate to their stuff. Like I'll take whatever hate comes my way, but I don't want to throw other people under the bus. But looking at some of theirs, it's like, okay, well they also saw growth at the same time and they're also struggling to get views now when people of the same size are getting more views than theirs. So then I started logging into YouTube and without being, well, actually watching YouTube without being logged in. That way I can kind of see what it's recommending if I search for certain things, if I watch certain videos, and kind of just following a pattern of that and realizing that almost none of the black content creators are being recommended. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. I think some of it is a lot of them do have smaller channels, and you're going to be recommended the larger channels first. However, when smaller channels are being recommended, it's usually not those. And some of that is just because of how the recommendation systems work, right? If somebody watches viewer A and then they watch viewer B and they like both videos, well, then the next person who watches viewer A, they're going to recommend viewer B. So generally what that means is just we're probably not in a lot of people's rotations for one reason or another. I don't think it's necessarily like a racist thing. I think it's like, hey, maybe I don't relate to this person. This person's not like me, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Could be a
I think just, yeah, go ahead.
It could be like a networking thing, is what I would
Oh,
say
absolutely.
a lot of it, because I know specifically for Twitch, because there's a little area in Twitch. Twitch does not have very good analytics for the most part, but they do have some things where it's like you shared viewers with X person, Y person, whatever, and you can see what channels that you share viewers with specifically, and those channels are usually people that you're actually decent friends with, like people you actually show up in
Yeah.
their channel with, talk with them, they show up in your channel, you talk with them, and that's kind of how you build up that relationship. And I would assume that it's pretty similar when it comes to YouTube, because if I do a collab with somebody else and they have a YouTube channel, usually then I start bridging some type of gap between the two channels. So a lot of people that watch their YouTube channel end up watching my YouTube channel and vice versa. But
Oh yeah, and I've definitely seen that in small stretches. Where I've done
yeah.
stuff with like SBMTG, I've done stuff with Covert Go Blue.
Mm.
And you'll see the spikes for a little while. They just don't usually hang on
Yeah,
for a long
yeah,
stretch of time.
exactly. And that's usually how it is with everything. Like if there's any type of controversy, there's a nip slip somewhere, you'll see a spike in subs,
Oh, no
like
doubt.
10x, and then it just, dips down unless content creators like amazing, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's few and far between. But in my personal experience, in the MTG community, especially in YouTube, because I've been doing YouTube videos every single day for 2 years now, almost 2.5, and
Okay.
I have never ever been recommended an MTG YouTube video from a black content creator, not once.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Like I didn't
Like
even
that that's
know
even a
I didn't
thing.
even know they existed. The only reason
Oh,
I
I
found
literally get
you
that.
was from um another content creator that rated me, and then I was about to go off of Twitch and they said, "Hey, raid PowrDragn." And I was like, "I don't know who that is." So
No,
then I ended up
I've
rating it, and then I
literally
found it. That was the only time
I
I ever
have
heard about you.
people like once every 6 or 8 weeks just come across and be like, dude, it's amazing. I never see, black creators playing Magic. Like, oh, it's cool
Yeah.
to see black people are playing Magic or whatever. I'm like, black people have been playing Magic. Like, this isn't like a new thing.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
There's a ton of people that play it, but I've never like. There's no creator. But the thing is, I get recommended like Russian. There's a Russian MTG content creator. I forget his name, but I'll get recommendations for his videos. He doesn't speak English though. It's like actually
exactly. I've
just
had the same
Russian,
thing.
and I'm
And
like,
that's
what?
what I was exploring, right? That's what this
It's
whole
so
experiment was
weird.
about. Because it was like, wait, I'm getting stuff from people that speak like Portuguese. I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
even,
all the
how is
time.
this
Yeah,
even a
those people
thing?
are huge.
Yeah. And I also get how they're big in their space because
Oh yeah,
there's
yeah.
probably fewer Portuguese content creators. You know
And
what I
there's
mean?
a
So like they're
ton of
probably getting a
players
bunch of
too.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so if you're solid in those smaller markets, you probably get a bigger viewer share. So I didn't really include those in the stuff I was kind of researching. It was just interesting that got recommended to me.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the one of the other things that I also found kind of peculiar too is like I've also nearly doubled my subscriber count since then. And I know for a fact, like my content's way better. Like visually, what your people are seeing now is way better than if you go look at my videos from like, March, July, whatever, 2020. Like my
Yeah.
lighting's better, my microphones are better. I mean, just my whole presentation just looks better. Hell, my background's better.
Yeah.
So even that, I'm like, it's not the quality of the content because honestly, my old stuff that got better views was garbage by comparison. So I'm
Yeah, it's
like,
so weird.
it's like this is just so frustrating. So it's that type of stuff. And like I said, I didn't want to put it out there because I didn't necessarily want to like start this whole conversation and make it about like it's just because I'm black, whatever. It's just like
Yeah.
no, this is just what's there. It's just using what I've seen to couch the conversation. It's not
Yeah.
really just saying like that's the only reason. I'm sure there's something else, but I
Yeah. But
also
then
see that
the
like
other side of that is that if you even take the whole race thing out of it, then people are just going to be like, "Oh, well, even if it's not a racial thing, the only other explanation to other people, to I guess normies, they'd be like, "Oh, you're just a bad creator." Cuz that's what they'll jump
sure.
to. And it's like when it comes to some people, like you, there's so many medium size creators that are way better than what like they should be at or what they
Oh
are at
sure.
currently. There's so many like small to medium. There's a lot of small creators that have been on the grind for so long. They get like zero notice in the community. And I'm like, how are these people non-existent on anybody's radar? It's
Well, and see,
insane to me.
that's really what started this too is I had a plan like as I was starting to gain traction, I'm like, okay, well let me set a plan for like 9 months down the road. Once I cross over like 15K or something and have like a real following, I'll start using my space to like give some of these smaller channels a little bit extra reach. Like give them a chance to come on the channel, like feature a video of theirs, whatever.
Yeah.
And my idea was like take this reach I've developed and like help pass it on to somebody else. But under current circumstances, it wouldn't be all that much reach for them. So I'm like, well, that's not really gonna work. So that's
Yeah.
why I really started looking into all this to begin with.
Yeah. That's basically the same exact spot that I was at because I feel like my content seems to be relatively high as far as quality goes. So I started making more of a variety type of magic thing where it kind of takes away more of my personality and incorporates more of other people so that I can highlight more of other content creators and just almost entirely leave my stuff out of it because the only thing that I can see that is wrong with my stuff is me because I feel the quality of all of my stuff is better than pretty much everybody's. So the only
Well,
way
yeah,
that I feel that I can actually get more of my name out there is just by surrounding myself with people who are better than me and then making them look even better. And
just with quality people, that's the
yeah,
plan.
yeah,
Now I will say this, another thing that came up, and this one did kind of bug me a little bit, and it probably shouldn't, but it's in this research. I started finding channels that are being promoted that have almost no production value. Like
I
their videos are literally just like their raw arena footage.
yeah,
Like no audio, no overlays, no
no
transitions.
camera. It's it
Yeah,
shows the
nothing.
cue. It like
Yeah, and I'm just like,
I
how is
know
this
I don't.
person's videos getting the same number of views as mine? Like, I
Yeah,
don't even understand. Like,
I
what's
don't
happening
know.
here?
Yeah, I'm the
And
same
that
way. I
that
have no idea.
and don't get me wrong, I do think there are people who have different issues for whatever reason and can only produce content a certain way. But like, even that, I'm like, they're putting no production value in there. Like, I will have somebody gripe about like, why do you use blue lights instead of red lights or whatever? I'm just like, wait, hold on. You know, like what
Yeah,
gives? So like that type of stuff is kind of frustrating when you're doing content. So
yeah,
yeah, it's just been a lot of that type of stuff is seeing, channels that aren't doing as much. I'm not one to be like a way over the top person. I'm like one of the things I even promote is my whole thing is having a pretty chill vibe most of the time. And I know that's not going to appeal to some percentage of the community because they want you to be the loud, be the character, have hot takes all the time,
I don't think
And
that's MTG, because I feel that's what I am. And I don't
I guess
I
you are
think
to some
I think a
extent. To
lot of
some extent,
people
yeah.
dislike me because of that. Because I think I'm too much, probably. Because I think I swear too much, and I'm too much of the, like, all, you know, we'll get messed up. We do fucked up Fridays, and we just do
Yeah,
all
but I
this.
mean,
We do all this
but
stuff, and
look
I
at
swear a lot, and I say weird things, and I
man, I don't
feel
want to
I
throw other people
alienate a
under the
lot of
bus though.
people.
Like, there's some out there I watch where like they pretty much open with like misogynistic statements or whatever, and I'm just like,
Oh, well,
wow,
that I see. I'm not on
like
that level. That's
your people are just cool with this, and you've got like 80,000 subscribers. Like, all right, cool,
yeah. I think I
all
know
right.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah,
Yeah, but I'm saying, but there's some of those people, and I'm just like, how? How is this even
yeah.
possible? Right? Like, I'm doing stuff where I'm like, hey, here's a way to help your budget. Here's a way to like do this thing. Here's why you're not winning as much or whatever. Blah, blah. And then like
Yeah.
this dude's like, just making dumb statement about women in the middle of his gameplay or whatever. And I'm like, what the hell? Like how?
Yeah.
How is this a thing? So
Yeah.
but I'm like, you know what? If it's just gonna still take me a while and stay on the grind, then like, I'll just do my thing. But hey, one of the things I did notice, and maybe it is because of just how I present myself or whatever, is some of my like regular commentary is at least performing as equally as my gameplay videos recently. So
Really?
it's just like, well,
Really?
maybe this is just what people want from me. Right. And
That
and it's weird because that in and of itself is kind of its own commentary on society and communities. Like, you don't necessarily want strategy from me, but you want my opinion on things. Right. So kind of weird.
huh.
But it's interesting, that. And I'm trying to think what the recent thing I did was like, 22 ways to fix arena in like 22 minutes, something like that. And like that did well. I did a video. I started a Y
Yeah.
series,
See,
as I'm calling it.
I'd watch that video. That'd be a good video.
Yeah, and I'm doing a series of why X, just like why you don't win as much, why you're not able to sell your magic cards for as much as others,
Yeah.
stuff like that. We're just like explaining some things, but being kind of harsh where you have to be to give people like a reality slap on something. And I thought those were going to be hated. Because I talk with my community or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll put one or two of these out there just to see. And then like they drew decent views, and I'm like, oh, they weren't like huge, but at the because of where my gameplay videos have come down to, they've been the same or slightly better than a bunch of them. So I'm like, okay, well, this is weird. Right? Like nobody even got mad. I was just like, and one of the things I told people is like, one of the things was you're not as good as you think you are. And just that was one of the segments. And nobody
Yeah.
even not even one comment of somebody bitching about it. So I'm almost like, how is this possible? Like I just don't understand things anymore.
I mean, a lot of people just want somebody to be real at the same time. Because just reading your tweet when I initially read it, and I had the question that I actually asked you in Twitter because I saw some of the comments on it. The other person, somebody commented, I don't know who it was, but they
Yeah,
said
yeah.
the hierarchy of decision is like, 1, does this need to be said? 2, does it need to be said by me? 3, does it need to be said by me right now? And then 4, does this need to be said by me right now? And am I willing to deal with the consequences? And
Yeah.
my question was more, has this always been a thought process for you, or is this more of a recent type of thought process? Because I've never had that thought process. And I don't know if maybe that was something that was holding me back. Because I've always been kind of like against even thinking about that.
No, it's not new for sure. It's definitely something I've always thought about. And I think it's one of those things, even kind of when we started our podcast, I just realized I'm gonna have a lot of like notification sounds from Discord in the background on this thing. Um, it's one of the things we talked about on our podcast, even when we started, is because we were going to be talking about a lot of tough topics. It's like, are we the ones to address some of these things? Right? Do people want to hear it from us? And the way I kind of think about it is, as a guy, if a lot of guys won't listen to a complaint from a woman, they're like, she might say, this is really messed up, whatever, and it'll go in one ear and out the other, right? But if another one of their friends comes up, guy to guy, and says like, hey, dude, you probably shouldn't say this to women for these reasons. They're like, ah, yeah, that is kind of messed up, huh? Whatever. And then you have a real
Yeah.
dialogue about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
of course.
it's like sometimes like, do we need to wait until like somebody else in another space brings this up? Or should we just be amplifying the voice of somebody in another space? Or is this one of those times where it makes sense for me to be the one to say it? But also, am I going to be available to further the conversation that follows? Because there will be a conversation that follows, right? Whether it's somebody
Yeah.
reaching out to you or somebody responding to your tweet or your Facebook post or whatever it is, right? Like you have to be prepared for that as well.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause you can't just make statements or comments like that and then just go underground and pretend like nothing's wrong or whatever, like nothing changed. Everyone's gonna
Well,
be
yeah,
like,
but
wait, what's going on? Wait, what? What's happening?
people will absolutely want to do it though.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. And I'm just
Mm.
like, yeah, you got to make sure you have time for it.
Yeah, for sure. Totally understand. So when you're doing your podcast, because honestly, I have not listened or watched, is your podcast video as well as or just audio?
We did a small segment of video podcasts, just partly because we had a short-term sponsor that we were like, well, yeah, we'll do some video portions of it as well too.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it's really just audio,
Okay.
and we're debating if we are going to move to doing video regularly. Though we are 113 episodes in, so far so good.
Jeez. So when weird issues like this come up in the community, do you bring other people on, or is it just the same few people just kind of talking about these issues?
It's me and my co-host, but we do bring other people on at times. Like there's been times where stuff's happened that involves women in the community or cosplayers or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll invite one of them on to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because we say all the time on our show, like, hey, here's as much as we're comfortable saying about this topic, right? Because and it may even be just be like, hey, I'm not, I don't know, Jewish or whatever, so my opinion only goes so far on a thing affecting Jewish people right now, whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
we can only speak from one perspective, and we
Yeah,
make sure that
exactly.
our listeners are aware of that. It's like, hey, we do care about this thing, but this is probably about as far as we can take the conversation. Anything more, we'd be speculating without having any expertise. And we move on to the next thing. But if we have somebody available, I'm like, hey, would you mind coming on? And we'll have this conversation on a more serious or deeper level that somebody can, we can ask questions of.
Yeah. So then the next question I would have is, have you thought about not really touching onto those subjects whatsoever until you had somebody else that was more deeply involved? Like you could touch
Oh,
up
we
on it and be
definitely
like,
have.
hey, there was something going on in the cosplay community. We're reaching out. Can you help find somebody in this community for us to talk to? That type of thing. And like use
Yeah,
your
we've definitely
community to
done that
reach out to
before.
bring people in. Okay. Yeah, see, I
Because
think
like one of the
that would
things
be
I'll say
good.
is we do at least we'll mention if it's a big enough story that we think needs to be talked about, we'll at least mention it so people are aware of it.
Yeah.
But we won't do a deep dive. Like we'll say like, hey, just so y'all know, or like, hey, this came up on Twitter today, or we saw this thing, or like the stuff that went down with Blizzard Activision, right? Like
Oh
you
my
can't
gosh.
not talk about all the sexual harassment and ridiculous things. Like
Yeah,
it
that
was a
was
laundry list of stuff. Like it was honestly borderline amazing. Not gonna lie, that it went on for that long to the level that it went on. And
yeah.
even as a guy, like we talked about it from our perspective of like, okay, hey, we've worked in some corporate settings. I've worked with game companies. Like, what would you even have done if somebody would have came up and been like, hey, we're gonna go whatever, like cubicle to cubicle with the ladies and cat column or whatever the hell was on that document or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
that just
Um,
sounds insane. Like, I mean, literally, I would
yeah,
think you're trying to
that's
get me fired. Like, what the hell? No, I'm not
so
participating.
weird.
But
Yeah,
apparently
that
people did it, you know? But yeah, even that stuff. Like, so there's certain things we said, okay, hey, here's the whole thing. You can go look up the document if you want and read through it. Some of it is gonna trigger some people for a lot of different reasons because there's some pretty effed up stuff in there.
yeah.
And then, kind of the stuff we can talk about, we'll talk about. The rest, we leave it to the listener.
Yeah. So the last thing I kind of wanted to bring up, because I heard you say earlier you had the Y series of like why your cards aren't selling for as much. Do
Mhm.
you separate your MTGA content and your MTG paper content on like different channels?
No, I actually originally thought about it, but what I noticed early on when testing is that there is enough crossover that it didn't make sense to have a second channel. Like I have a separate channel for doing like fun product reviews and food reviews and stuff like that I started a
Hmm.
while back, and that made sense to move it over there. Because early on in my channel, before I had a bigger reach, was I actually did some reviews of things that I thought were really helpful for people. Some apps that like can help you save money or whatever.
Hmm.
And I did one recently just to try it out, and like I actually lost subscribers. Like I
Really?
mean, literally, it went up, and over the next like 12-hour period, I got to watch subscribers drop off. I was like,
Jeez.
okay, obviously, I'm at the point now that this needs to be on a different channel, right? So I just moved
Yeah.
that over there, and then I've done some cool like international snacks and a couple of different apps, some home products, some other stuff are over there. I did like 20 different brands of boxer briefs, like that was an exploratory adventure. So that's over there. But yeah, some fun stuff that I can't do on my gaming channel, I have over there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Cuz I recently split off my channel into two different channels, and I think it helped everything overall.
I
And
could see that being true.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
the
that's
problem.
something that you even pulled your community with. And I think that might help recommendations, because I think if people are searching for paper content or something like that, they may be searching specifically for paper content. They see why your cards aren't selling for as much, then they look at the rest of your videos and they see a lot of MTGA. It's a possibility they don't subscribe. I don't know what your
Oh
analytics look
yeah,
like. I don't
and
know
and
how
I'm
deeply
okay
you
with
dive
that.
into that, but
I accept that
yeah,
there will be people who like certain things and won't
yeah, for
subscribe for one
sure.
reason or another, but they just want to watch an individual video. And
Yeah,
and I'm
there
okay with
always
that
will.
because I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
where the majority of my content's going to fall. But I do
Hmm.
actually poll my I guess subscribers or the ones that actually
Oh,
subscribe. That being said though, I sent out a
yeah.
poll like a couple days ago just to ask some question, and I got like I don't know 300 or 400 responses out of 15,000 people that supposedly got it or whatever. So it's
Jeez.
like, what's even going on? So there's a lot of things like that to figure out.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, that is just a really interesting situation. I don't even know how many, because even when I pull my people, I don't really get that much. But I would say, I wonder if that's average, like normal, like
It could be.
10% of your subscribers like actually respond to a poll.
Even then, I should still have, I don't know, 1.5K.
Oh,
like,
that's true. Yeah.
like, like should still be a lot more. So yeah, I don't really know. There's a lot there. Like we initially talked about. Like it could be, again, some people felt okay. Well, maybe I'll subscribe just so I'm showing support. And then that's it. Other people, you just may not be getting it for various reasons. I also saw that,
Yeah.
some people got unsubscribed from some channels. I found some channels that I was like, why haven't I seen a video from so and so in a while? Right? And I went and looked and like, wait, I'm just not subscribed to their channel anymore. I'm like, what the
Well,
hell
because I
happened?
know I know that on YouTube they changed it. I don't know when, or at least from what I hear from a lot of bigger channels, that you actually have to click the bell and select notify all in order for YouTube to quote unquote classify it as a subscription. So in order for them to really start recommending your videos, they have to enable that bell notification to all to actually help the channel more. I don't know how
Yeah, that's
true
such
that
a
is,
weird thing.
but I hear it from the big channels. Usually, if I hear
Yeah, I
something
mean,
from the big channels, it has some validity to it.
yeah, I tell all my people to do it anyway. Like, just
Yeah,
like, hey, it can't hurt. It'll make sure you don't miss one. But I
yeah.
have had some regulars say that, hey, are you going to do a video about such and such deck? And I'm like, dude, I just did that 3 days ago. And they're like, really? I didn't see the video. And I'm like, I'll link them to it. And they're like, yeah, I definitely haven't seen this. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Hmm.
Like, it's obviously there. 1,000 other people watched it. Like I don't
Yeah,
know what to tell you.
exactly.
But
That's
yeah, there's a
crazy.
lot of things like that that are just tough. And it's kind of why I asked just a second ago before we started recording, on Twitter. Okay, just out of curiosity, how many black creators do you see in your rotations or recommendations? And so far a bunch of people are like, none. And I'm like, oh well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like that's not the response I expected. So it's
Yeah, I
like,
saw
oh,
a couple
okay then.
people say Cedric Phillips, and I was like, I didn't know. I thought he was just like a commentator. I had no idea he made content.
Yeah, Cedric still
I
does some
had
stuff,
no idea.
and he
I
still streams and
absolutely
stuff
no idea.
too.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
But
I catch him every once in a while.
I feel like a lot of those people just kind of stick to their own like little circle, because I know it's if I feel it's the same with Riley. Like Riley kind of sticks to his own. It's like him and Boxy. It's like them two
Yeah,
hang out with like one or two other people, but there's a lot of people that seem to not really branch out a whole lot. And I don't know if it's a product of something. Because I know Crokies is like that. Crokies doesn't really collaborate with anybody. But that seems to be more by choice than anything else.
yeah, and Crokies is also like, I don't know, I want to say like an acquired taste for people,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
of
yeah.
his personality and style can come off gruff or abrasive to folks. So like you're in or you're out on his stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
for
kind of
sure.
like indifferent. Like he's a good quality player. Like I don't know, like I could probably have a beer with him, but not somebody I'd like, be probably close friends with. But his content's good.
Yeah. First time I went to his channel, my message got copy pasted and I haven't been back.
Oh,
I was
weird.
like, fine.
That's such a random thing.
I know, right? So,
Like
yeah.
why? What? Yeah, I don't know.
I
I
don't
run
I
into
don't
some
remember
strange
exactly
interactions
what
on there.
I don't remember exactly what I said, but it probably sounded like something that could be oddly copy pasted, but yeah. Then they just turned it into a copy pasta. I was like, I see how it is.
That's funny. Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I think this is just like one of many aspects when you're doing content creation, right? It's how are you being recommended? What social circles are you in? What groups do you frequent or whatever? Because that probably leads to other people watching you. How is your stuff promoted? Like, and then, like I said, even figuring out, okay, well, maybe people just don't want my take on a certain thing. Might actually be the end result of all this. It might just be, hey, maybe people just don't want that much arena content from me. But this other stuff they do want. So maybe I find enough topics to do this other thing regularly, and then I just every once in a while do an arena thing. Like that
Yeah.
might be the future direction. But I think it's one of those things where I'm, having, I guess, a business background. One of the things I love about YouTube, and really, to be honest, all of these sites give you so much free information,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The stuff they give you on the back end analytically, companies pay people, 70 to 100K a year
Oh,
just to do that for their company. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
like,
Oh
and
yeah.
you get it
YouTube is
handed to you.
delicious with that. I hate Twitch with that stuff. I cannot stand Twitch analytics. I'm like, give me
That's true.
something. Give me real information, please.
Yeah, that's fair. They at least give you information. It's definitely not as actionable. I will say
Yeah,
that
but
for
you
sure.
get better and more information from things like Solinome and stuff that just gets
Yeah.
all the
Now,
data from Twitch.
I
But
will say one thing I had to learn about Twitch is the headers on their graph I can change, which I didn't know that was a thing for the first few months.
wait, what the
Because
wait?
I was like, well, I'm curious how many total hours were viewed on my thing or whatever. And I'm like, how come I can't see that? And I randomly realized there was a arrow I could click, and there's like 20 other options. And I'm like, oh, well, hell, I could get totally different information than just have to look at what they're showing me. Like, this is amazing.
Oh,
Like,
that yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, why did I not know this was a thing? But it's amazing how many creators I talk to that don't like. I ask people, well, do you know when like most of your people are on watching your videos, right? Do you know what your best
Mm,
performing videos ever are, or whatever? When when I, because people will ask, and I'm trying to like help them with their content, and they don't know any of these answers,
yeah,
and I'm like,
exactly.
but they give you all this information. Like, if you're trying to make a go of this and you want it to be something you can do for a living, like you have to pay attention to these numbers. Like that's
Exactly.
what leads me to having days like today where I'm like tracking stuff over a period of time. And now I'm like, okay, well, let's do a deep dive because I can see all this information. And it's like, okay, well, now it's leading me to a conclusion that I can do something with.
Yeah. See, yeah, I'm in the same boat as you because I feel the same way. Because a lot of people, because I help a lot of people with their analytics and stuff, and I just kind of point them in the right direction of what they should be doing. I know I'm not like a big creator or anything, but I just kind of know the space a little bit, and I know what people should be doing, especially the people who are more entertaining than me. So I'm like, hey, do
Sure.
this, this, and this, start, the best time if you don't have a job, you're doing this full time. The best time slot is this because of these reasons. And they're like, oh, they change their time slot. All of a sudden they get 100 more viewers, It's like, awesome. Good job. All these things. There's things that you can do just easily just by changing the time that your videos come out. Like you
Well, you know what?
said,
I'll even
there's,
say this, like it's funny you mentioned that, because people ask why do when I started streaming, when I still do stream in this time slot a couple times a week, but people ask why did I start streaming at like 9 p.m. Pacific time, and they said like, well, because normally the rest of the U.S. is already going to sleep or whatever. I said, well, that's purposeful,
yeah,
because I realized like there's no point in me streaming during prime hours. When, especially because when I already did my
it,
research in advance and said, okay, well, Twitch doesn't have
it
very good
sucks.
discoverability. So
True.
if I'm on during the time that every other big creator's on, when are people going to watch me? So I got on at 9 p.m. thinking, okay, either enough of them will still want to be on Twitch, but their creators are watching or leaving, or
Yep.
I will just get a different batch of people and there will be less viewers or creators to compete with.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
a higher
a
chance of you
weird,
getting raids and stuff.
yeah, and a weird byproduct that happened is my first viewers, regulars, were actually from Australia and New Zealand because of the way the time works, a lot of them are getting off work when I'm actually starting to stream. So I
Yeah.
just got a whole different audience on the other side of the world that became regulars because of the time I was streaming. So
Yeah.
that was kind of fun. But even something like that, telling people like think about everything you're doing and do it intentionally. Don't do it just because.
Exactly.
Because if you're doing the same thing that somebody else is doing without any direction, why wouldn't somebody just watch that other person? Because they've been doing it longer, they're going to be doing it better, they're going to have a bigger community. Like you have to be bringing something to the table and have a reason for doing it. Like
Exactly.
those are the biggest things.
Yeah, so listening to you talk about all of this stuff, you have the experience, you've been doing it for so long. You have the knowledge of looking at the analytics and changing all this stuff. You have the quality behind you. It There is definitely something there. There's
Yeah,
something that if the viewership is going down, especially, it seems like something's going on for
yeah.
sure.
Don't know what. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that's why I hesitated for even initially posting it because I was like, I don't have a real good way to word this that doesn't just
Yeah.
get people bothered or angry, that is going to lead to something productive for the rest of the community. So I'm like, do I even need to put this out there? But more of just like, hey, here's the thought of like, there's stuff going on. So if you see stuff change with my content, just know that like I've been thinking about it. Like that's basically
Yeah.
what that was. More than like, hey, let me put this out here and get people all on pins and needles, and start some type of fights that I don't need to be starting
Yeah.
because I don't really know 100% what the reason is. Like I'm sure that's like one of probably four or five things, but I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know what
definitely
all those
possible.
things are yet.
That is fascinating. It's really interesting. I'd be actually really curious. If you figure something out a little bit more in depth, or if somebody points something out, I would be really interested to know.
Oh yeah, I would definitely share it if I found something like that out. Like I said, I
Yeah.
just find it all interesting because just like we said, there's people that were watching far exceed my views when they have way fewer viewers or subscribers, but then also have no production quality. Like they're literally just loading their arena video, and I'm just like, dude, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Like I
I'm the
don't get
same
it.
way. I don't understand. Some people, I'm like, it could be that they're, buying viewers. I've toyed with the idea. I would never accuse people of doing that because that's pretty egregious. But at the same time, there's sometimes I feel like some people have paid for subscribers or paid for viewers at times just
Then
to kind of get their name out and do
that
that.
that may be the case. I don't know. And again, I'm with you. I don't think I would ever really accuse somebody of that unless I had like
If
very
Yeah,
strong
unless you
evidence.
had proof, yeah. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
even go around even looking for that type of proof because I don't first of all, I don't care that much about,
Yeah.
trying to be like this person. There's no way they're better than me. They shouldn't have that many. I don't care that much. But it's one of the things you're like, I feel that something weird is happening.
Well, and that's the other thing too is like I'm not worried about somebody else being successful, right? Like,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
I do generally have two beliefs. Is one, YouTube literally gets billions of views a day. Like,
Uh,
there are plenty to go
at
around for
least.
everybody. Like, we will
Yeah.
be fine.
Oh
The
yeah.
other is that if more people are doing quality content in your subject of choice, that's a good thing
Yeah.
because more people will over time become interested in that thing, which means you have potential to get more viewers because they're
Yep.
drawing more people in. So, like,
Exactly.
I'm not really bothered by other people doing well. The biggest thing is just, okay, how do I make my stuff do what their stuff is doing when they obviously are doing stuff to a lower level than I am? Like, what am I
Exactly.
missing? That's sort
Yeah.
of what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. The only thing, yeah, I mean, I'm in the same position as you are. I just kind of, at this point, I have to chalk it up to me not being as good of an entertainer as a lot of people.
And
That's
and I'm
that's
in the
where
same
I've
boat.
put it, and that's just kind of where it's at currently. And it sucks, but I know that I have a lot of room to grow, and I know that I'm getting there, and I know I'm always getting better. So I just
Here's
don't
the
know
other thing.
how long it'll take to get there. You know?
I'll tell you what's really mind numbing for me is that the Content Creator Awards happened a few months ago. And you got to get nominated by the community, and then the pool of content creators, whoever, vote on different things or whatever. And it's like, we got nominated for a lot of stuff. So I'm like, no, it's not that people don't like my stuff. Like, because, like, if it was that, I could be like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. People just don't like it. I got to do something else, right? And it would suck, but I would totally understand, right? Like,
Yeah.
people like what they like, but it's not that, and that's the part that has me going like, so what is it? And I don't really know the answer, but I think it makes for some interesting talking points. To just break down everything and sort of what are you seeing and what are you not seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think me splitting up the YouTube channel into two different things, I think that was the next step for me to try to find out what might be going on. So I don't know if that's something you'd be willing to do, but I think it's something that you might want to try, in my opinion. I mean,
I would
obviously,
say,
this is completely unsolicited
oh no,
advice,
no,
but
totally understand. And like I
completely
said, it's
unsolicited.
something I did consider, but I
Yeah.
was genuinely surprised at how well the other content performed, whether it was related to Arena or to paper being on the channel. They still perform well regardless, and that's
Yeah.
the part I was kind of confused by, because I was like, okay, well, this shouldn't be a thing, but
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
So
Because people
I was
people will go to your
Mhm.
channel for you, and the people who go
Oh,
there
yeah,
for you will subscribe to both channels, which is
I
fine.
think
And
that's the
their inbox won't get overflowed because you will still only be doing the same amount of videos. It's just in two different locations. So if people are
yeah.
subscribed to
I
two different channels, it doesn't that you have to convince them to subscribe to a second channel once, but after that, there's nothing different.
yeah, I think you're right there totally. I think for a lot of people, I'd say for a lot of creators, I think one of the things they get focused on is like, okay, well, what game am I going to play? You know, what genre am I going to be in or whatever? And it's like, ultimately, you should be greater than the content,
Yeah.
right? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, like, somebody should be coming for you because you are the only thing that's proprietary to your channel, right?
Exactly.
Anybody can go play any of the games, anybody can go talk about any of the game systems, or hell, I don't know, if you're talking about the clothes at Kohl's or whatever, like, anybody else can go do that. But, like, at the end of the day, only you can be you.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, and I
Yeah.
think people get lost in that sometimes. They get so focused on, especially in Magic. They'll be like, "Oh, okay, well, I got to reach Mythic rank, and I got to only play these decks, and I got to do this thing in this format." And it's like, but do you though? Right? Like, at the end of the day, it's like, are you as entertaining as somebody else for me to come watch you? Right?
Yeah.
And some of the people, like we've talked about, like, there's other content creators that I've popped into some of their videos or into their stream, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do this for more than about 15 minutes. Like, not for me. It's cool. I get it. I get why other people watch it. It's just not for
Yeah.
me. And I'm sure
Yeah.
people feel the same way about me. That's totally understandable. Not everything is going to be for everybody.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing right now is that we need easier and more digestible content for each creator. I don't think there's. I hate saying this because it'll just give me more work to do, but I think we need more and better clips on Twitch from like the viewers or the creators themselves. Because every week I have to go through all the clips on Twitch, like over the last 7 days, to put together, a YouTube show, two different ones.
Yeah.
And going through all of those, there's over 1,000 clips every single week. So it'll take me like 5 to 8 hours, depending on how many there are, and you have to rank them and stuff. But I mean, 90% of them are just a total waste of time. They're horrible clips. They show absolutely nothing. It's just a complete waste of time. And then like 1% is just a girl standing up from their seat or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then
There's
just
a
like,
lot of that.
yeah, there's just stupid shit when it comes to that stuff. And I think if we had more clippable, easier to digest stuff, it would be easier to share with people on short form platforms like Twitter, which people are actually on, just like at work. You're like, oh, there's a 20-second video. Let me just check that out really quick. Oh, PowrDragn, he looks funny as fuck. Let's go follow him. Or, oh, that was a really interesting deck play. Oh, that was Big Brain or something. Oh, that's an interesting take.
Yeah, I think that could
That
even
type of
be
thing.
one of the things that Twitch needs to just include is just like, hey, here are the top clips from people in your categories. Like if you watch, I don't know, Dead by Daylight or whatever, like here are
Yeah.
the top 30 clips or whatever, right? When you
Yeah,
log on.
they
So it's like,
they
okay,
have
let me
it
take
kind of, but yeah, you have to go out of your
yeah,
way
let
to
me take
find it.
15 minutes, go through the clip, see if there's somebody new I want to watch. Okay, never mind. I'll just watch the people I'm here to watch. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that. And I think that's what's leading some people to start streaming on YouTube and on Facebook, even over Twitch, is that there's just discoverability. Like there's
Oh
a
yeah,
chance
yeah,
somebody accidentally finds you, or they're in one of your other social groups, and then they can come and hop in and just follow your stuff. Like one of
yeah.
the things I think is going to be a game changer if they ever institute it on either Facebook or YouTube is when you're watching somebody's video or even live stream for that matter. If you were to go live while that's up, say they're watching one of your videos or a replay, and you were to go live and it could pop up a thing saying live now, oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
somebody's watching a video from last week and then like, oh wait, this person's live. I can go ask them a question about this deck. Like that would be huge.
Yeah,
That
that
would be
would
a
be
game
actually
changer.
that would be actually really huge. Of which there is something that I have for that, kind of. But that might be something. Do you have your own website?
I don't.
Or just like okay.
Well, technically, I have one for the podcast, but we don't do much with it. We've thought about it, and it's another bit of workload that
Yeah, I'll
I
definitely
think
send
for
you
the
a couple messages on something after this because there
okay.
is a really cool thing that we can do with that.
Yeah,
Because
like I said,
there
I'm
is
always
a
down
cool thing
for
that
it.
you can do with it. Yeah. So there is some stuff you could do with that, but currently I'm in the same boat. I don't think getting partner with Twitch is probably one of the worst things I did as a content creator. Just because you don't get anything from it outside of additional emotes. You don't actually get in contact with the partner manager. There's still nothing. You never get to talk to them. You don't get a priority queue for support. Like, you get nothing. There is zero benefit. You don't get a higher revenue split. You don't get any of that until you get even higher. You have to get like an average of 1,000 subs for 3 months before you even get a higher revenue split. And so,
Mm.
getting a getting partner on Twitch is almost completely useless. So
Yeah, my thing is,
I'm probably
I'm
just
like,
going to drop partner and do a dual stream on YouTube and Twitch and do it
because
that
I'm
way.
just on the cusp right now of possibly hitting partner on Twitch, and I've really thought about the only way I'd do it is I'd have to go back and forth with them on the contract specifics, and if no, then it'd just
They
be a
don't.
no.
No, you don't even get
Yeah.
contacted by anybody. They just present you with a web URL. It's just the same exact way you would sign the affiliate contract. I don't even remember if you remember when
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
happened. You just go to the website. They show you the contract. It's the same contract that everybody gets. Just has your name on it, and you just scroll down to the bottom and press accept. That's it. You don't get to talk to
Oh
anybody.
yeah. See,
Nothing.
I'm
Nothing.
stubborn. I will find a way to talk to somebody.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, you'll be able to talk to them because they'll deny you or accept you. Like you'll have a back and forth via email every once in a while if they respond to you. It usually takes a while, but they'll
sure.
respond to you and be like, "Okay, yeah, you work on this," but it's very, very vague and generic most of the time because they're not your marketing manager. They're not going to tell you
Yeah,
how to
that's
run your stream,
also
that type of thing.
the thing too. I've heard a lot of problems with that where like you get denied, they don't tell you why you were denied, just it's a weird runaround, which seems very awkward because
The
it
people
would
I
be in
know
their
that have got
interest.
denied and they say they don't know why they got denied or there wasn't enough information in the email. When I looked at that email and then I looked at their stream, I was like, no, they told you why. You just don't understand.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
since you actually understand the whole marketing and business and stuff, if you got denied, you'll have zero problems understanding why. Zero.
Fair.
Even if it's vague, you will have no problems. I guarantee it. It'll be zero.
Because YouTube's easy. It's just like you get your 1,000, you get your 4,000 hours. Done.
Yep.
Like you're in or you're out. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Go fill out the paperwork, wait 3 days or whatever it is, right? Like it's a nice simple system.
Yeah.
And and I think that's it too for YouTube, that it's difficult for some people to reach those numbers. Because and it's funny because I see people that either tend to reach 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 hours, but struggle with the other one. There seems to be a delay for people. Fortunately, I was pretty lucky. I got I think I hit my 4,000 hours like maybe a month before I hit my 1,000 subscribers or something. So like it was pretty close
wow.
for me. But
Yeah.
I've seen people struggle with one half or the other, and they're like, this is so hard or whatever. But it's at least a clear, defined line. Like once it happens, you're good to go. Barring your content just being something questionable or whatever that they don't approve it, like you're usually pretty good to go. So that I do like. And kind of the same thing over on Facebook, on their Facebook gaming. It's like I think you have to get 100 followers on your page and then have to have streamed so many days or so many hours or whatever, and then you can submit or whatever. But it's all pretty easy on the other platforms. So I mean, Twitch just got to get it together, man. Like they're the OG.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for Twitch. I want them to still be around. I think they're going to be for a long time. But
I think if Twitch
they've already lost a
cared
little bit of market share over the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's true. I think if they cared more about the partners and made it harder to get partner, then it would mean more. Because right now, kind of like I said, getting partner means nothing. Like you don't get anything for it. And I think it's hyped up because a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's so hard to get partner," blah blah blah, and then they get there, and then they get denied, and then they get denied, and then they get it, and they're like, "Yes, I finally got partner," and then literally nothing changes.
I mean, I barely get contact from Twitch if I have a real issue. I mean, like I've literally had like legit issues with like harassment or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, what do we do about this?
You'll get no change.
Response.
There's no priority queue, nothing for partners. There's literally nothing. Nothing will change.
No response. Whereas at least on the other platforms, I will get something within like 24 hours. Even if it's just like, hey, go to this website, apply, tell this person, or hey, send us a message on Twitter, blah blah blah. There's at least some form of follow up. Like I have literally had multiple things that got nothing from Twitch.
Yeah.
Like not even a form letter, like which would have been better than nothing.
Yeah. The weirdest part is that I've still never seen Emmett Shear like talk with anybody, and that is the weirdest thing to me.
Oh, really?
And I don't even know if you know who that is, but he's the CEO of Twitch.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about it. Like I don't know if I've seen him in an interview.
And it's like you say Susan of YouTube, and everyone knows. Oh yeah, because she calls the creators. When Moist Critical came out with that whole video, he's like, YouTube's fucking up. She called him the next day. Like the CEO of YouTube calls him. When Ludwig is thinking about leaving, when Tim the Tapman's thinking about leaving, none of them have even talked to Emmett Shear.
Yeah, and they went whole hog on big contracts with YouTube.
How have not? Hassan hasn't talked to Emmett Shear. I don't know a single content creator that has talked to Emmett Shear. How is that possible? I don't understand how that's possible. That's
honestly
mind-blowing.
I don't know many that have talked to a bunch. I would say the whole C-suite of folks for the most part at Twitch.
Yeah, me either.
which is
it's
weird
so
because some of
bizarre.
them you would think would at least do a fair amount of interviews.
Yeah, well,
I
because
mean, hell,
they're
even what's his name over at Hasbro before he passed, Brian Goldner, like he used to do stuff regularly. Hell, he at least bare minimum would appear on like Mad Money or whatever, and talk about their stock stuff or whatever. Like I've at least had, even when I was at Wizards, I had conversations with Brian Goldner. Like there's people I know who work for Twitch that have no contact with anybody outside their office.
it's crazy to me. I don't know. It's just it seems so weird. I don't know.
It is.
But
It's
I
awkward.
I feel like every platform has a problem. I like that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. But
I'm a
has
believer.
WotC like helped your content at all? Because I know if YouTube is kind of slacking as far as recommendations, and I mean Twitch
I
doesn't
will say
really do
this.
anything. Does WotC help you? Because I know WotC builds up a lot of marginalized groups and stuff
I
like
have
that.
seen a couple of times where like some of my stuff has appeared on their front page on the mothership. Like, because I've had people send me like screen caps of just like, "Hey, dude, your video's over here" or whatever. And I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But
Huh.
people at least saw it. They've also like when they send out the surveys, I see that like sometimes I'm listed or like my podcast is listed or whatever. Is like, "Hey, do you follow these people? Do you listen to these things?" So there's awareness out there, and they've included us on things. So and they sent me some stuff for Midnight Hunt. So I did a box opening and showed what was in there or whatever. So
Did they like
they
reach out to you for that stuff though, or did they just send it to you?
they did reach out like
Okay. I was
in a
like,
cryptic way because I kind of got like werewolves or vampires. It's like werewolves, of course. It's like okay, keep an eye on your mailbox. It's like all right, like
huh.
and then that showed up and we did a thing. So yeah, but I will say this though, like I don't think anything happening really for my content one way or the other is like a Wizards thing, because and it's funny because I have
Yeah.
people when there's a thing going on, they expect me to just like bash Wizards, right? And my whole thing is like, let's talk about the issue as like humans that have real emotions and understand there's people that work on the other side, right? Some
Yes.
of it is really bad, and we can talk about it,
Yeah.
and call out the things that are bad. But I also
Yeah.
tell people if you listen to our podcast or just my content when I talk about those issues, like when they do good, we'll praise them. When they do bad, we'll hammer them.
For
Like
sure.
that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And
Like their
people at
entire
Wizards
UI
aren't.
UX team
Yeah, people at Wizards
needs to
aren't
get
mad at
fired,
me.
all of
Like
them.
nobody's like judging my stuff. I'm not getting blacklisted for like saying something bad about them or whatever. Like none of that's a thing. But I have
Yeah.
people who genuinely, if you are not 100% ultra negative, like, oh well, Wizards must have paid you to make this video. Like
There
you're
are
obviously
people like
shilling.
that actually.
Yeah,
That's
you're obviously
crazy.
shilling for Wizards right now. Like, there's no other
Yeah.
reason you'd make this video because, like, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't have to feel the same way you feel about a thing.
It's so
Like, and
weird.
literally, I've gotten I think one actual paycheck from Wizards of the Coast since I've been doing content, and that's because I did commentary for one of their events. It's
Oh.
literally the lone check I have. The other one is because I won 2K in an arena open, and I think that's it. Like I think that's all they paid me. Like so I
Yeah.
don't
People
get
are so
paid from Wizards of the
delusional.
Coast.
People are so
Yeah.
almost nobody gets paid by WotC. Like,
Yeah.
even
Like
the bigger creators, they don't. Because I know who, the people who got the recent round of spoilers for Alchemy, because they got like colors, so it was like
yeah.
Amazonian, Croquis, Ollie. I don't remember who else. There was a bunch
Yeah, I
of
think
people.
Numot the Nummy got some
Yeah.
and
Did Detsy?
Covert Go Blue, I think
Oh,
was the other one.
CGB. That's right, CGB.
Yeah.
I don't know if they got paid for that either.
Probably not.
I don't think they did. And that to me is ridiculous. But that's another story. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, like and I could even go for the fact like if somebody said it's worth this much or not this much or whatever, it's like okay, cool, then send them a gift pack with some rare stuff in it that they
which
could sell or
they
do
did, I
something with or
think.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that would be totally fine. I don't have a
But
problem with that. Just like, hey, we went into our vault and here's like, I don't know, 3 guru lands and some other stuff or whatever. Thanks for
yeah,
doing
see
work for us.
that would
You
be
know.
cool at least if they didn't want to actually like pay them. But
Yeah.
it just seems
By the
like it
way,
was incredible
I have
marketing.
seen the stack of guru lands that still exist.
There's a stack.
There's not a bunch of them though. I will tell you this: there's not a bunch of them. I can say that it's not what people think for sure. I won't give numbers or estimations, but there are some that still exist, but it's not near as much as people think there are.
We're talking centimeters or inches?
Probably closer to centimeters than inches.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
Someone on
I've
the
seen
inside.
some things.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
I
I think I've kept you for probably way too long. I don't know, unless you had
Oh,
something
that's fine.
else.
I will talk forever. I'm awful about that.
I know, me too. I think I had to start streaming 10 minutes ago, but I still have like an hour's worth of other recording to do for this video.
Hey, I'll fill up the hour if
So-
you need me to. No, trust me.
I know. No, it's like I have to go over the other stories because we got a bunch of stuff going on this
gotcha.
weekend. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I look forward to it, man. Like I said, I think it's good that people are doing variety of content. I hope
Yeah.
more creators get their communities comfortable with seeing other content, so you can
Yeah.
get away from everything having to be about competition or about the latest thing or whatever. It's like, hey, there's so many
Exactly.
different subjects and aspects of the game we can talk about that like it doesn't always have to be about just what's going on with this deck in this format. Yeah, I think there's just too much to talk about, really.
Yeah. And I'm with this particular show, since it's like a weekly news drama thing. That's kind of what it started out as. And then after a little bit, it kind of devolved into a meme, like almost a giant meme. So
Hey,
I've had
if it's
people
working,
come
it's working,
on.
man.
Well, I don't know if it's worked. We've only done it for like a few weeks, but I think this is episode 8 that it would be. But
Okay,
people
that's
have
still
come
pretty good,
on
though.
just like wearing a tinfoil hat. They're like shuffle truthers, complaining about the
Oh,
shuffler.
yeah.
You know, just like
Yeah.
stupid stuff. But like there'll be serious undertones and like real content, like people being really creepy. So I have DMs to MTG girl creators. So I got those screenshots, and I'll have somebody
That's
like
pretty bad too.
I'll have somebody read it off in front of a fireplace, all nice and calm, like just be like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck is this?"
That's
And
cool. But the thing is, it's a entertaining way to bring attention to serious issues.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like just a normal like news drama thing seems kind of stupid. Because there's a couple like actual lame news drama things that I've had to deal with because I started this show.
Sure.
And I'm just like, I don't even want to highlight this because it's so fucking stupid. Like, I don't
And
know. I can't even deal with it. I know, which is why I don't, but I have to like fix it on the back end because
Oh,
people are
gotcha.
so
Yeah.
childish that they don't want to, like, they don't know how to talk to each other. They're so socially inept that they don't know how to do that or talk with other people to resolve the issue. Like, there was a whole like
For sure.
harassment thing that happened earlier on this year, and then it got brought back up even though it was resolved. But there was some beef between two people, so the guy kept bringing it up. I don't know. There was just like, so I had to get that resolved, and I'm, there's the whole white knight thing. It's like, I want you to apologize to these women. I was just like, dude, what the fuck? Who are you? Why do you care so much? The girls are already over it. This is already past. This happened a year ago. You're fine. This has nothing to do with you. They're already okay with this. You deserve you get nothing. But,
yeah, that's the other thing too, especially if the people involved have said like, "Hey, we're done. We've buried the hatchet. Whatever."
Exactly.
Like,
it's like,
there's no need to keep
but,
egging it on.
Yeah,
like,
but it
they
happened
don't
in the
even wanna see it
background.
be public
It's like,
anymore.
Exactly. It's like
just let it go.
they kept it quiet so it would stay quiet, and you keep bringing it up because you think nothing happened, but stuff happened. It has nothing to do with you. You were in no way involved. This didn't even happen around you. Why do you care so much? So yeah, it's just I had to deal with that. Yeah, I just had to deal with that, and that was a painful thing. But I was super interested. So like, oh, there's a harassment thing, and I was like, oh shit, there's harassment. I'll definitely include that because that's a big story, And then it was like from a year ago, and I was like, what the fuck do I care about this? So yeah,
people are gonna people, man. People are gonna people.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, yeah. I'll send you that stuff about the website thing. I think
Sure, absolutely. I'll look forward to it.
It might help a little bit. I don't know.
Cool.
It depends on what kind of developer you have, but yeah, it should be fine.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it to this point, it means you either really enjoyed the video or you fell asleep and I'm waking you up now. Either way, thank you for all the support. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, come out with videos 7 days a week.